Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. We're here in Paris at the MPLS and SDN World Congress 2015. As you can see, we're actually in a cinema at the event itself. After all, France is the home of cinema. And of course, being in a situation like this gives us a few technical problems, not least of which is that my guest is an old friend who's probably about a foot taller than me, so it makes life quite difficult from a perspective or point of view. But anyway, Phil, great to see you. I'm talking with Phil Tilley, who is NFV and Cloud Marketing Director with Alcatel-Lucent. Phil, thanks for coming in, and thanks for hunching down. Let's start. SDN and NFV are as much about business transformation as they are about network transformation. What do you think, what in your opinion should service providers do from the business transformation perspective to ensure they take full advantage of NFV and SDN?
So one of the real challenges, I think, the business transformation, they need, operators need to move faster, be more agile in this ever increasingly sort of changing world.
Yeah.
So I think, the need to adopt these technologies to get more agile in their business is great. But if they're really going to adopt it, the real challenge right now is actually getting the teams aligned, because I think we're talking now about something that crosses IT and network and demands some new sort of ways of working, some new challenges. So we've seen NFV being trialled and tested in the CTO organisation, in R&D facilities. As we now try and bring that out into the live environment, it's how do I bring operational teams together? How do I cross-train and really bring different skills to play in this whole transformation?
There's a cultural change, Phil, because we're seeing disciplines that belong to the data centre and IT being imposed and being carried over into network providers and telcos. And that makes for cultural challenges, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, if you look at one of the major competitors that service providers are facing right now, it's the teams, the groups, the organisations who have come out historically from an IT environment. Very agile development teams, development operations, DevOps environments. And that sort of IT skills is now what the service provider has to bring in to act and think like a cloud provider. And that means people who've traditionally spent a long time doing standardization, developing standards, sort of making sure everything is tried, tested and robust before deployment. That has to change now as we're looking sort of to evolve into this more sort of cloud-orientated world where, so it's bringing the protocol knowledge and skills into a more dynamic, sort of slightly scary world where you sort of build and try and test and make it live straight away. It's.
When we're talking about the challenges, what do you think are the most important when it comes to implementing transformational technologies like NFV and SDN into the organisation?
So I think it's still keeping the quality and the environment. I think we're still having to deliver quality services, highly reliable, service assured services. So it's getting that balance between developing, testing and making live, shortening that time frame and yet not compromising on quality. And so sort of still having to that quality mindset in the developers and everything else.
So you're walking a tightrope because you've got to maintain service.
Absolutely.
And while all the change takes place.
Yes, absolutely. And then you've got the sort of move, obviously, in the market, the sort of big environment to use open source code. And there's a huge amount of open source code, so you can go and pull code from, effectively pull it out of the library, pull it out the shelf and make it available. But it's not always necessarily been fully tried, tested and made robust. So open source can get you to market quicker, but can impose and bring in greater challenges and risks.
So Phil, given you do this every day for a living and you've got your finger on the pulse, what do you think is the status and readiness of NFV now to go commercial?
So now, having done for the last 2 years the POCs, the trials, I think everybody's convinced that the technology, the approach is right. 2015 is definitely the year where the functions themselves have been adapted to run in a virtual cloud environment. So 2015 will be where we're starting seeing commercial trials. Individual functions being deployed in a cloud NFV sort of virtual context on a case-by-case basis. And so I think when we started talking about and thinking about NFV originally, the concept was a platform to support all functions. Pragmatically in 2015, we'll start seeing the function being deployed on a platform and then 2016, 2017, we'll see more functions being added to that platform. So.
Because NFV really has burst upon the scene from almost nowhere to become really mature and very important within just a couple of years.
It's 2 years. What was it? October, I think, 2012 was when really it started being defined and come together. And considering the amount of technologies, I mean, NFV isn't just one thing. It's a combination of, computer hardware coming together with virtualizing of the functions, with orchestration and management and IT. So it's actually bringing together a multi-threaded technology being brought together, and it's come together very quickly.
You made a very good job of articulating the challenges that face network operators, telcos, when they're doing this. A question to you might make you smile or maybe not, but given how hard it is, it's going to be expensive, it's going to have an impact on organisational psychology and structure, it's going to have impact around the world, it's a global phenomenon. Why bother? Why is it worth it?
So I think really, again, it's a question of we have to get the end users, the consumers, whether they're business units or residential consumers, are getting increasingly demanding. Their expectation for the delivery and evolution of services is just increasing. So the need to rapidly evolve and develop new services to remain competitive is absolutely compelling. If you don't keep refreshing and renewing and evolving and enhancing your service at a rapid speed, you're going to go out of business. So it really is end user driven.
So those that don't, the organisations, the telcos and network operators that don't, are going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are these new services? I mean, these new services are pulling together multiple things. It's a bit of voice, it's a bit of video, it's a bit of internet web. It's bringing these things together. And if you don't manage to bring those together in a flexible, self-service manner, you're going to fall behind and die.
What about reaping the benefits of NFV? When do you think we're going to see that happening? Where do you think it's going to happen? We've said it's a global phenomenon. Is it a regional thing? Do you think we'll see it first in North America or in Asia or in Western Europe or in Australasia? Where?
Actually, we're seeing it sort of all over the place. I think it's not possible, and I get asked that question a few times, is which region is ahead? There are, I think, of all the sort of regions, Asia, whether it be Japan, China, Australia, North America, they're all at it at a similar position and sort of point in time. So I don't think there's one region.
So it is a worldwide change?
It's a global change, absolutely, yeah.
Moving on now, this is an MPLS as well as SDN World Congress. I remember as a print journalist donkeys years ago, and I mean more than 20 years ago, writing about multi-protocol label switching. Back then, it's still with us. Most technologies of that sort, like old soldiers, fade away and disappear. But MPLS hasn't, and it's important to SDN and NFV. Is that because it's a programmable technology?
Yeah, no, I think what's actually happened with MPLS, and I've been working with it and sort of trying to evangelise it right from day one when I was trying to explain what is MPLS, and it's evolved. I think there's a whole community behind it, developing it. If you actually look at the people that are coming here, it's continually been advancing and enhancing, and absolutely it's been expanded. I think when we first started talking about a small label on top of IP, it's actually now lots of labels and lots of things. So it's fully expandable, and that's why.
And where does that play into SDN?
So SDN sort of obviously uses the programmability and the flexibility of MPLS to enable it to really help fix some of the problems within data centres and everything else.
Interesting stuff. Phil Tilley, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, it's a pleasure, Martyn.